I brought a stranger from the ocean, and now he's my forbidden romance. I pulled him from the water, but I'm drowning in him every time he looks at me. It began on a regular morning as I walked along the beach, the breeze stirring my hair. The fading sunlight bathed the sky in purple and gold, waves crashing in a soothing rhythm until something shifted. I froze. My heart skipped a beat. There, just past the foamy surf, something caught my eye. A shape, big and familiar. My feet moved before my brain could catch up, and as I got closer, I realized it was a man, already lying on the sand, his body limp and pale. I rushed forward, my heart pounding in my chest. I knelt beside him, frantic, checking for signs of life. His skin was cold, water still trickling down his hair like silk. My hands trembled as I searched for a pulse. Anything. Nothing. No! Don't let him be dead! I scrambled to keep him upright, gently slapping his cheek, whispering urgently, "Please, please wake up." That's when I noticed it. His legs. They shimmered with an odd, silvery shine, like tiny scales embedded in his skin, catching the light in a way that didn't make sense. I blinked and the shine disappeared, leaving me questioning if I had imagined it. I shook my head, trying to clear the confusion. I'm losing it. But the feeling that something wasn't right lingered as I watched the man finally breathe, confusion filling his face, and as I looked at him, I knew I had no way but to help that strange man. I dragged him to my beachside house, my heart still pounding. There was no way I could explain this to anyone. I didn't even understand myself. His chest rose and fell, the faintest sign of life. But then, his sea blue eyes flickered open. I almost stumbled back, caught off guard by the depth in them. They were like the ocean at dawn, beautiful, vast, and unsettling. "Where am I?" His voice was soft, like a whisper from a distant storm. "You're safe," I said, though the words felt hollow. "What happened? What's your name?" He blinked slowly, disoriented, his gaze unfocused, as if the room was spinning around him. "Calix," he said. I don't know." His eyes drifted, lost. "I'm from somewhere far away." I narrowed my eyes, my instincts prickling. Something wasn't right, but instead of answers, all I got were more questions. Far away? His lips curled into a faint smile, distant, like he wasn't fully here. "I'm from the ocean." Some hours later. Hours passed, and I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. I tried to focus, to convince myself this was just a freak accident, but my mind kept circling back to the man in my house. Then I heard water running. I turned, my eyes landing on the open bathroom door. Steam curled from inside, and through the gap, I saw him. Calix stood in the shower, but he wasn't under the water. He was playing with the cascade. His hands outstretched, letting the droplets run over his fingers like he was feeling them for the first time, like it was something new. His bare legs glistened in the mist, and then I saw it. The water hit his skin, and in the dim light, something shimmered. Scales. Not just a trick of the light, not a fleeting illusion, real, glistening scales, shifting like liquid silver and deep ocean blue. The second he moved, the scales flickered and faded, vanishing as if they were never there. I blinked, completely mesmerized and confused. Before I knew it, I was standing in the doorway. "Calix?" He stiffened. His hands curled into fists, but he didn't turn. I swallowed hard, my pulse thrumming. "You look like a kid playing in the shower." Silence. A long, dragging silence. And he finally turned his head, just enough for me to catch the edge of his profile. His dark water blue eyes met mine, and he looked cautious, calculating, like he was deciding on something. "I don't like showers," he said lightly, but his voice carried something beneath it. A wariness, a careful deflection. My gaze dropped to his legs. "Your skin, it shimmered, I saw it." He didn't answer. My stomach twisted. "What's going on?" He inhaled sharply, his hands trembled at his sides, and then, just barely above a whisper, he added, "You wouldn't believe me if I told you." The way he said it, soft, heavy, almost afraid, sent a chill down my spine, leaving my throat dry, but I gave out a sympathetic laugh. "Try me." He hesitated, his fingers twitching, as if he was fighting something inside himself. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, he exhaled. "I don't belong here," he murmured. "Not on land." My heart slammed against my ribs. The ocean, the way I found him, the impossible way his skin had shimmered. No. No way. Calix lifted his head, and when he looked at me, there was no doubt in his eyes. "I'm not human," he finally said. "I'm a merman." The world seemed to stop. I couldn't process it. My brain didn't want to process it. I took a step back, trying to catch my breath. "No way. You're lying." He shook his head slowly. "I'm not." And I realized, for the first time, he wasn't lying. 3 days later. I told myself it couldn't last. Calix was just passing through, a brief moment in my world. A few days, maybe a week, then he'd slip away back to wherever he belonged. Yet, he treated everything like it was magic. The first time he ate, he held a piece of toast between his fingers, turning it over as if inspecting some rare treasure. He pressed it to his lips before taking a tiny bite, his eyes widening slightly as he heard the cracking sound in his mouth. "Good?" I asked, biting back a smile. He nodded, still thoughtful. "Strange, but warm." That was how he described everything. Warm, cold, soft, sharp, like he was learning how the world felt, one touch at a time. Music fascinated him the most. I'd often catch him sitting on the floor, legs crossed, listening to whatever was playing on my speakers with his whole body. He didn't just hear sounds, he absorbed them like the notes were sinking beneath his skin. He also spent hours fascinated by the way ink bled across paper, dragging his fingers through my notes and sketches, watching the smudges appear like tiny ripples. And mirrors. He stood in front of them, tilting his head, running his hand over his reflection like he was trying to understand the body staring back at him. One evening, I found him staring at the ceiling as a slow song played in the background. The soft rhythm of the piano filled the room, and I watched him, his eyes closed as if he could taste the music itself. "Beautiful, isn't it?" I said, glancing over at him. "The music, I mean." He nodded, his lips slightly parted as he seemed to drift with the notes. "Yeah," he murmured. "It's like the notes move inside you, like they're alive." I raised an eyebrow, unsure if I understood what he meant. But then he fell silent again as the music deepened, and I saw something shift in his gaze. His eyes were distant, like he was seeing something else. "It feels," he trailed off, searching for the words, "like the tide. Like something pulling you somewhere you don't know." A shiver crawled up my spine. His eyes flickered to mine, sharp and knowing. "You feel it too, don't you?" The question wasn't just about the song. I swallowed, my heart knocking against my ribs. I could have said no. I should have said no. Instead, I nodded. And that's when my world really turned upside down. The following day. The night had a quiet rhythm as I stood in the kitchen, finishing up dinner, when I noticed Calix again, this time by the sink. He wasn't washing anything, he was laughing as his fingers trailed under running water, like it was the most fascinating thing in the world. "Look at you having fun," I joked. He looked over at me, his smile a little crooked. "Ezra, it's just so different," he said. I leaned against the counter, watching him. It wasn't the first time I'd seen him do this, touching things like they were treasures he was slowly discovering, but the act still fascinated me. Every little thing seemed new to him, like he was learning to experience the world for the first time, and somehow it made everything feel more alive, more important, more real. His fingers danced through the water again, mesmerized by the droplets. He didn't seem to notice how closely I was watching him, nor how the way he focused on something as simple as running water made my heart beat faster. "You're going to get wet," I said lightly, trying to shake the strange feeling off. I was going crazy if I thought that creature, was beyond funny, attractive. He grinned, clearly not bothered. "I don't mind," he replied softly, his tone with a subtle hint that it felt as if he wasn't just talking about getting wet at all. I should have stopped him. I should have said something to snap us back to reality, but I didn't. Instead, I stood there, my eyes fixed on him as he played with the water. His movements so natural, so effortless. Each gesture seemed to draw me in more, like I was tethered to him, caught in the pull of something deeper. The shimmer came again, barely noticeable this time, but unmistakable. Scales, glistening in the light, running up his fingers like a fleeting memory. It was so quick, almost imperceptible, but it was there, and it sent a rush of heat through me. I knew what he was. I've known for a while now, but seeing it, even for that moment, stirred a feeling deep inside of me that was more than just curiosity or fear. It felt like seeing a part of him that was never meant for human eyes, and yet here he was showing it to me. I felt a strange feeling, like a touch of pride for being the one who found him, like I was special. I kept admiring him, but in some way, in between, I wasn't just watching his fingers. I was watching him. His lips parted slightly as he traced the water's surface, his gaze distant but sharp, as if he were searching for something in the ripples. And when he turned to glance at me, his eyes caught mine, dark and knowing. And for the first time, I noticed. His eyes shone with the same pull that I was feeling in my chest. I couldn't look away, and he didn't seem to want me to. Turning the water off, I ended whatever that was. "It's different here," he said, like he wasn't just talking about the water. "Everything's so soft, but heavy, so real." I couldn't find the words to respond. Instead, I nodded, my chest tight with doubts I'd never say out loud. He turned towards me, his movements slow, deliberate. "I've never been so present," he said, quietly, his voice almost a whisper. "Everything feels so much more alive here, with you." His words landed like a soft punch to the gut, and I was left struggling to breathe, unsure whether he meant it the way I thought he did. My heart hammered so fast, and I suddenly realized how close we've become, how much closer I was to something I didn't know if I was ready for. He didn't give me time to answer. His hand brushed mine as he passed me, a soft touch, fleeting but lingering in a way that made my pulse spike. "Come on," he said, a smile on his face. "Let's eat. I'm starving." I stayed there, frozen for a moment, wondering if he was feeling the same as I. Later that night. After dinner, I found myself sitting across from him on the couch. He was watching the evening light shift across the room, his eyes following the subtle play of shadows. I hadn't realized I was staring until he caught me. "Something on my face?" he asked, voice low, amused. "No," I said, shaking my head, "just thinking." He leaned back, his tone light, but something in his eyes told me he was paying close attention. "About what?" I shrugged, unsure how to answer. How could I explain that everything about him seemed to draw me in, that every laugh, every smile, even the way his fingers brushed mine when he passed me the salt, felt like it was changing something inside me? I sighed, just giving up. "About you," I answered, "and how you keep making the world seem so new." He smiled, a little crooked, like he knew exactly what I was getting at. "I like that. It's Not bad, being new, he said as his fingers brushed against my arm as he shifted closer, just enough to make the air feel different. He didn't pull away right away, and neither did I. It was a strange sort of closeness, comforting and yet, at the same time, unnerving. He stretched his arms out, looking over at me with that easy smile of his. I never knew how soft human things are, he said. The air, your skin, even these, he added, tapping his fingers lightly against my arm. It's all so gentle. I fought to keep my heart from speeding up. I guess we're soft, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. He hummed thoughtfully. But it's not just that. His gaze dropped to my lips for a second before he looked up at me, his eyes a little too intense. It's how everything here feels. Like the world isn't just passing by, it's here, with me, with you. There it was, the shift in his tone, something deeper in his eyes. I could feel it now, the tension that had been building ever since he stepped into my world. And just like that, he reached out, his fingers brushing over mine again, slow, deliberate, almost like he was testing something. I barely breathed as he kept his hand close, not quite holding mine, but close enough that I could feel the heat of his skin. He didn't say anything. His gaze never left mine, the air between us thick with something unspoken, something growing. And for the first time, I let myself acknowledge it. The way he made me feel, the way he made everything feel more alive. I swallowed hard. There was so much I wanted to say, but I couldn't find the words. Instead, I just watched him, waiting, wondering if he couldn't find his words too. The night went along, and at 2 a.m., I woke up alone just to find him standing on the shoreline, the waves curling around his ankles before retreating again. His expression was unreadable, the soft light of the sunset casting shadows on his face, and his voice found its way to me at the same speed as the wind. The ocean is always calling me, he said in a sad tone. My stomach twitched, and I stared at him. He was always listening to something just beyond my reach. I caught him tracing patterns in the condensation on the window, like memories from something I've never met. I realized that no matter how much he loved learning about this world, it wasn't his. How much I wanted him to stay wasn't an option. I knew it wasn't forever, and I hated that. The following afternoon. The storm caught us off guard. One second we were walking home under a dull gray sky, and the next, rain was hammering down, soaking us in an instant. "Run back to the house," I shouted, laughing through the shock of cold water hitting my skin. But Calix didn't run right away. He just stood there for a minute or two, lifting his face to the sky like he was savoring the feeling of it, like the water was waking something inside him that had been dormant, something older. It was strange, but I couldn't look away. He looked so at peace at that moment, like the world had stopped for him. And then, out of a sudden, as if snapping out of it, he took off after me, his laughter blending with the thunder rolling overhead. By the time we made it inside, we were drenched. I shoved the door shut behind us, still laughing and breathless. Okay, that was... I stopped, my words caught in my throat. He was standing in the dim light, his soaked clothes clinging to him, water trailing down his skin like it belonged there. His legs were shimmering, the rain tracing over them, catching the light in such a way that I could see the faint glimmer of scales, glittering softly in the dim room. It was subtle, almost imperceptible, but undeniably beautiful. It felt like the rain was highlighting a hidden part of him that made him even more mesmerizing. I swallowed, the words slipping out before I could even stop them. I've never seen such a beautiful merman before. I laughed nervously, almost too quickly, as the words felt a bit too honest in the air between us. I could feel my face flushing with so much embarrassment, but Calix didn't break his gaze. And I've never seen such a beautiful human before," he added with a wide smile. He looked happy. His laughter was contained and shy, but intense. Without looking away, he asked, "Do you think I'm pretty?" My heart skipped a beat, the way he said it, so casually, but with an edge of vulnerability beneath the words. I could feel the anticipation in the air between us, thickening with every passing second. His gaze dropped for a fraction of a second to my mouth, and then back up to my eyes, the question hanging in the space between us. There was hesitation in him, something that felt like it could break if I moved too fast. My heartbeats were wild, and I couldn't seem to breathe normally. I could see the intensity in his eyes, his focus on my lips. His gaze was drawn to them like gravity itself was pulling him closer. "Is it soft too, Ezra?" he asked, and I looked at him confused. "What?" His voice was almost a whisper, the words brushing over me like a quiet invitation, a challenge, or maybe a promise. "Your lips." The weight of the moment crushed me. I couldn't stop myself. The uncertainty, the electric tension, the warmth that pooled between us, it all suddenly felt unbearable. Without thinking, I moved. I kissed him. It was desperate, a rush of feeling too strong to be contained. The moment my lips touched him, everything else disappeared. The storm outside, the cold rain soaking my clothes, the hesitation that had been between us were all swallowed up by the heat of that kiss. It was slow at first, like he was learning the shape of it, the way he learned everything else. His mouth was so warm, soft, and yet demanding, and it made me want more, need more. His hands found my face, guiding me closer, and I couldn't pull away. I didn't want to. Not now. Not when everything felt like it was finally falling into place. The kiss deepened, his lips pressing against mine with a hunger that matched my own. His fingers threaded through my hair, pulling me closer still, and I could taste the salt of the rain on his skin, mixing with the sweetness of his mouth. The kiss was everything I never knew I needed. I felt pulled under the tide, like drowning, and I didn't want to come up for air at all. Some days later. It's been over a week since that first night, and everything has changed. Mornings were easy, spent tangled in sheets, our bodies warm and pressed together like we had all the time in the world. We fell into a rhythm, soft kisses before coffee, fingers tracing lazy patterns on skin, laughter spilling between whispered conversations. It felt almost normal, like maybe this was real, like maybe it could last. But as the day wore on, something always shifted. By nightfall he was gone, out there by the water, like it was calling him home. I tried not to let it get to me, but every night it got harder. I'd lie in bed, staring at the ceiling, knowing he was out there, somewhere, battling whatever it was inside him that made him pull away. And no matter how many times I held him close, how many times I whispered his name against his skin, that distance never fully disappeared. It was always there, a shadow between us. Tonight, I had enough. Frustration burned in my chest as I walked down to meet him, my pulse loud in my ears. I found him standing at the edge of the water, staring at the horizon, like always. "Calix," I called, marching up to him. He turned. There was no surprise in his eyes, just that same look, haunted. "Why do you keep doing this?" My voice came out sharp, tight, with something I didn't want to name. "I get it, you're a merman, you belong out there. Not here with me." Calix's expression softened, but there was a pain behind it, and that made me stop. "I'm getting weaker," he said, his voice strained. "Every day the ocean pulls me harder, and..." He paused, his shoulders sagging as he looked down at the sand beneath his feet. "I can feel it every day. The longer I stay on land, the more I fade." I stepped closer, my frustration giving way to a sharp pang of understanding. "You're not weak, Calix." I wanted to fight, Ask why he was going now after all that. Why didn't he go before I fell for him? I was so upset, and just as I was about to open my mouth again, he looked at me. And that's when I noticed his eyes were darker and grayer than usual, and there was no spark. So, he was sick. Shit. I get that you have to leave, but is that really the only way? He shook his head slowly, frustration lining his face. I'm not meant to stay, but I can't stop myself. I don't want to leave you. I exhaled sharply, pushing past the ache in my chest. Then why do you keep going out there every night? I asked. If leaving is inevitable, why make it harder? He looked at me, and I saw it. His eyes glassy with a tear that refused to fall. His whole body caught between two worlds, breaking apart at the seams. Because, his gaze was intense, unbreakable like the sea. I love you. The words landed like a punch, knocking the breath from my lungs. Calix's eyes locked onto mine, desperate, conflicted. I can't keep fighting it. I can't keep fighting myself, but I don't want to go. I moved before I could think, closing the space between us, wrapping my arms around him and pulling him close. He was cold, too cold. His body felt lighter against mine, like he was slipping away already. I gripped him tighter. I love you too, I whispered, my voice barely holding steady. You hear me? I love you too. Calix shuddered in my arms, his hands gripping the back of my shirt. Don't say that, he breathed, like it hurt him. Not when I mean it, I cut in, my fingers digging into him like I could anchor him here. I don't care if you have to leave, or if this is impossible, or whatever else is trying to pull you away from me. I love you. He pressed his face into my shoulder, his breath uneven. I don't want to go. Then don't, I whispered, even though I knew it wasn't that simple, even though we both knew it wasn't a choice. At least for tonight. His hand curled against my chest, gripping my shirt. At least for tonight, he repeated. I could feel the weight of the unspoken between us. He was slipping away, but not tonight. Tonight he was still here. And so, I held him tighter, grounding us both in the only thing we had left, the moment. The next evening. I didn't want to see it. I didn't want to notice the way Calix was changing, how his skin had lost its glow, how the warmth that used to radiate from him now felt muted. But I couldn't ignore it. Every time I looked at him, the truth pressed heavier on my chest, making it harder to breathe. He tried to act normal, smiling, touching my hand absent-mindedly, laughing at something I said. But there was a weight in his movements, a sluggishness that hadn't been there before. When he thought I wasn't looking, he swayed on his feet, and whenever I reached for him, his skin was colder than it should have been. Midnight crept in. The air was thick with something unspoken. I sat by the window, restless, watching the waves roll in under the moonlight. Then the movement caught my eye. A figure rose from the water. My breath caught. He was like Calix, inhuman too. His presence was heavier, his body marked with deeper, iridescent blues that shimmered even under the dim light. His eyes were sharp and knowing, carrying the kind of weight that made my stomach sink before he even spoke. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. Calix stepped outside, barefoot in the sand, and I heard them. Ryan, what are you doing here? I could hear the shock in Calix's voice. You've already stayed too long, Calix. Ryan's voice rang out, steady, like he'd done this before, like he'd seen it happen. The balance is breaking, Calix, you know that. He didn't answer right away. I could see the tension in his shoulders, the way his hands curled into fists. I just need more time, he said, his voice low. A little longer. You don't have it. Orion's tone didn't waver. You're already fading. Fading. The word buried itself into my ribs. Was it the actual meaning of the word? Was he going to disappear? Calix exhaled sharply, shaking his head. I'm not ready to go. You don't have a choice. There was a beat of silence, thick and suffocating. I didn't realize I was gripping the window frame until my knuckles ached. Orion's voice softened, but it didn't make it easier to hear. You were never meant to stay, Calix. I felt something crack inside me. Because I knew it too. I'd known it the second I saw him standing by the water, night after night. He was fighting something bigger than either of us. And now, the fight was slipping away. I shut my eyes, forcing myself to breathe. I couldn't let this drag out any longer. I had to be the one to end it, even if it ripped me apart. Once Orion left, I met Calix at the shoreline, staring at the water. I didn't hesitate. I didn't let myself think about it. This isn't real, I said. He turned to me, and it was like watching something shatter. What? I swallowed the lump in my throat. You have to go, Calix. We both know that. No. He took a step forward, but I moved back, fists clenched at my sides. I needed to do this. I needed to make it clean. It was never real. The words burned as they came out, but I forced them anyway. Whatever this was, it was a mistake. The way he looked at me, like I'd just taken a knife to his chest, made me want to take it all back, but I didn't. I couldn't. You're being serious. We weren't meant to be, I said simply, and he didn't fight me. He just stared for a long moment, something breaking in his expression before he finally turned away. And then, without another word, he walked into the waves. I watched it until he was gone, until the ocean swallowed him whole, and then I let myself fall apart. 2 weeks later. Days stretched into weeks. I woke up each morning expecting to find Calix beside me, but the bed was always cold. The absence of him settled in my chest, and the ocean, once so full, now felt emptier without him. One night, unable to fight the ache in my chest, I walked toward the shore, hoping to see him again. And there he was, standing at the water's edge, bathed in moonlight. My heart stopped. Calix? I whispered, my voice trembling. He turned, his expression filled with sorrow. He stepped closer, but didn't speak right away. I couldn't stay away, he said softly, his voice raw. I took a shaky breath. I didn't think I'd ever see you again. I didn't think I'd be able to come back, but I had to. I owe you that much. The words hit me like a wave, crashing over my chest. I swallowed hard, struggling to hold myself together. I'm sorry. I know, he cut me off. I understand now why you did that. You were saving me. I could feel my heart pounding. I didn't want you to go. I didn't want to lose you. I never wanted to leave you, he whispered. But I didn't have a choice. No, you didn't, I said with a heavy sigh. Tears burned behind my eyes, but I held them back. I should have said goodbye properly, he said after a short pause. I stepped back, the words stinging. But you're here now, and I still love you. I don't care how little time we have. I just need you to know that. He closed the distance between us, taking my hand. His touch was cold like the water, but his grip was firm. I love you too, Ezra, but I can't stay on land much longer. My body can't handle it. But I can come weekly. It's the only way I can maintain the balance and still be with you, even if it's just for a little while. My heart clenched, but I didn't hesitate. For a day? Only? It will have to be, he said softly. It's the only way. I can't stay longer. The ocean will pull me back. I'll fade if I stay too long, but once a week, I'll come to you, Ezra. That's all I can offer. I'll wait for you, I said, the words coming easily despite the ache in my chest. I'll wait for you, no matter what. He smiled, bittersweet and filled with love. Thank you. I'll always come back to you. Even if it breaks us both, I'll be here. And when I am, we'll make the most of it. I pulled him into a kiss before saying anything. I'll be here too, I promised, voice steady despite the tears threatening. I just don't want you to disappear again. I won't, he whispered, his voice filled with certainty. I'll come back every week, and when I do, we'll love each other in the time we have. As he stepped back toward the waves, I reached for him, but I knew it was time to let him go. The ocean was pulling him back, and he would return. I'll wait for you, I whispered, my heart breaking with the promise. And I'll always come back, he replied. He stepped into the water, and I watched as the waves swallowed him whole. I stood there for a long moment, letting the emptiness wash over me. This was our new reality. We would love each other in stolen moments, and that would have to be enough. Just me and him, under the stars. Conclusion. It's been years now, and Calix still comes back to me once a week, without fail. The routine we've built feels almost sacred. Every visit, every moment spent with him feels like a precious, fleeting dream, and I've learned to savor every second, knowing the ocean will pull him away again. Our life together is not like the one I imagined when I first met him. Not the kind where we wake up side by side every day. But we've carved out something that works, something real. In the days between his visits, I've learned to live with the absence, the quiet ache that follows him when he leaves. It's not easy, but I've accepted it because it's the only way we can be together, and that's enough. We found comfort in the little things, the handwritten letters he leaves behind when he goes, the quiet conversations we have in the dark, our fingers intertwined for just a little longer before he walks into the waves. Our love isn't conventional, but it's ours, and in its own way, it's beautiful. And I'll wait for him, every week under the stars, because even if it's only for a day, it's worth it. It's always worth it. The end. Is it more painful to love someone who can't stay forever, or to let go of them completely? Thanks for watching. Consider subscribing to become a part of our Rainbow Force and stay wholesome.